What if I told you that the most common dating advice you've ever received is a lie? A dangerous lie that has been keeping you stuck in a cycle of toxic games, feeling cold, distant, and calculating, only to push away the very men you desire. You've been told to be indifferent, but this advice has only generated distrust and left you feeling spiritually empty. But what if there was another path? A forbidden type of indifference, one that isn't born from resentment, but from a profound, unshakable power within you. A secret rooted in the deep psychology of Carl Jung. This is not the indifference that punishes. It is the indifference that magnetizes. It doesn't build walls. It builds a kingdom that he becomes desperate to enter. This is the secret of the woman whose inner peace is so absolute that a man's validation becomes irrelevant. And the moment he senses this shift, everything changes. You will watch as his comfort shatters, his certainty turns to doubt, and his casual indifference transforms into a primal, visceral fear of losing the most valuable woman he has ever known. Now, before we unlock this power, let me ask you something. A huge percentage of the souls who find this wisdom and transform their lives are not yet part of our community. So do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you do not want to miss the truths we uncover next. And if you feel this message resonating deep within you, press the like button right now to anchor this powerful energy. I want to see how far these timeless teachings can travel, so comment below and tell me, what part of the world are you watching from? All right, prepare to dismantle everything you thought you knew. Today, you will learn how to wield an indifference so serene, so authentic, that it will reset his mind and force him to reevaluate your place in his universe, making you invaluable in his eyes. Today, we are not going to talk about manipulation games. We are going to dive into the deep psychology of sovereign indifference. I will give you the keys to understand the crucial difference between the indifference that wounds and the one that attracts. I will reveal to you how detachment from the outcome turns you into an irresistibly free figure. You will discover why your indifference to his drama, and not to him, is what truly disarms him. And most importantly, I will explain the exact psychological mechanism that is activated in his mind when he perceives he might lose you, and how that perception forces him to reevaluate your place in his life. Finally, I will give you a practical ritual so you can start cultivating this powerful indifference from a place of fullness and not of lack. This video is for the woman who is tired of games, but yearns to understand the true dynamics of power and attraction. So if you are ready to stop reacting to his indifference and start inspiring his devotion, seal your commitment now. Give this video a like so that this energy of sovereignty resonates with you, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications activated, because you are about to learn how to use one of the most elegant and potent tools in the female arsenal. Ready to discover the power of your peace? Let's begin. Before we dive into the how, we must understand the what, because the word indifference carries a negative connotation, and it is fundamental that we make a clear and profound distinction between the two versions that exist in the universe of relationships. Not understanding this difference is the reason why 99% of women who try to apply this advice fail, creating more pain and confusion. On one hand, we have the indifference that wounds, which I call toxic or reactive indifference. And on the other, we have the indifference that attracts, the sovereign indifference. They are two energies that, although on the surface may seem similar, vibrate at opposite frequencies and generate diametrically different results. In a man's psyche, the indifference that wounds is born from the ego, from fear, and from pain. It is a reaction to a wound. He didn't write to you, so you pay him back with the same coin and don't write to him. He was cold to you, so you decide to be glacial. He didn't give you the attention you wanted, so you post photos with others to provoke his jealousy. This indifference is a game, a manipulation strategy. It is an act of passive aggression, and although it may sometimes work in the short term to get an anxious reaction from him, on an energetic level, it is a poison. Why? Because a man, on an intuitive level, feels the intention behind your actions. He feels that your silence is not peace, but a weapon. He feels that your distance is not independence, but a punishment. And this energy of conflict, of you against me, generates distrust, damages the connection, and in the long run, pushes him to seek a space where he feels emotionally safe, not on a battlefield. Now let's contrast this with the indifference that attracts, the sovereign indifference. This is not born from a reaction to his behavior. It is born from an action of deep love and loyalty towards yourself. It is not a strategy to change him. It is a natural consequence of having chosen yourself. The woman who embodies this indifference is not cold, she is serene. She is not distant, she is centered. She doesn't ignore him to punish him. She is genuinely busy and fascinated with her own universe. Her indifference is not towards him as a person, but towards drama, inconsistency, and everything that disturbs her inner peace. If he doesn't write, she doesn't panic or plan revenge. Her attention is simply elsewhere, on her work, on her book, on her meditation, on her conversation with a friend. Her happiness is not on pause waiting for his message. Imagine the difference in the energy he perceives. With toxic indifference, he feels the tension, the game, the manipulation. He feels you are trying to control him, and the natural reaction of masculine energy to an attempt at control is rebellion or withdrawal. But with sovereign indifference, he doesn't feel an attack. He feels nothing, and that nothing is what drives him crazy. He feels the absence of your anxious energy. He feels that your world keeps spinning, and spinning beautifully without him. And this perception does not generate anger. It generates a mixture of bewilderment, admiration, and a deep internal questioning. He starts to wonder, how is it that she doesn't need me? How is it that her peace does not depend on me? What is it about her world that is so fascinating? From a Jungian psychology perspective, toxic indifference is the action of the unintegrated shadow, the wounded inner child who seeks to control love through fear. Sovereign indifference, on the other hand, is the manifestation of the self, of the integrated being, the queen who knows that her inner kingdom is her greatest treasure and does not allow external storms to devastate it. The first is a declaration of war. The second is a declaration of inner peace. And a man, especially a high-value one, is not attracted to war. He is inexplicably drawn to the oasis of peace that a woman who does not need drama to feel alive represents. Therefore, before continuing, it is crucial that you ask yourself this question. Where does my desire to be indifferent come from? Does it come from a place of pain and wanting to teach him a lesson? Or does it come from a genuine desire to protect my energy and prioritize my own life? Renouncing indifference as a weapon is the first step to being able to wield it as a tool of power. And now that you have learned to differentiate the poison from the antidote, you are ready to cultivate the mindset that gives rise to this magnetic indifference. In the next point, I will reveal the secret of detachment from the outcome, and you will understand how the woman who plays to enjoy and not to win becomes the only game a man never wants to stop playing. We have distinguished between the indifference that poisons and the one that magnetizes. Now we must understand the mindset that gives birth to the latter, the sovereign indifference. And that mindset can be summarized in one of the most powerful spiritual and psychological practices that exist: detachment from the outcome. What does this mean in the context of relationships? It means that you enter into the interaction, into the game of seduction, into the dance of love, not with the final goal of winning a prize, be it a formal relationship, a marriage, or simply for him to choose you over others, but with the intention of enjoying the process, of getting to know another human being, and above all, of getting to know yourself through that interaction. The woman who operates from attachment to the outcome is constantly measuring, calculating, evaluating. Every gesture, every word is a move on a chessboard with a single objective: checkmate, victory, getting him. And this energy, this pressure to win is palpable and profoundly stressful, both for her and for him. The woman who, instead, practices detachment from the outcome plays a completely different game. Her energy is light, it is free, it is playful. She is not trying to secure a future with him. She is enjoying the present with him. She is not thinking, will this be the man of my life? But rather, Am I enjoying this conversation right here and now? This attitude frees her from the anxiety of having to say or do the right thing. It allows her to be spontaneous, authentic, mysterious, because her self-esteem is not at stake. Her value does not depend on whether the relationship works out or not. Her value is a constant, and the relationship is simply an experience, a dance that can last one song or the whole night, and she is willing to enjoy the dance for as long as it lasts. Imagine the story of Anna. For years, every date for her was a job interview. She analyzed the man, wondered if he met her requirements, and at the same time strove to be the perfect candidate. Her dates were tense, full of calculated questions and rehearsed answers. The result was always a lack of chemistry, a forced connection. One day, tired of working to find love, she decided to change her approach. Her new mantra was, "My only goal on a date is to have fun and discover something new." On her next meeting with a man named David, she applied this philosophy. She didn't ask him about his future plans. No, she tried to impress him with her achievements. She talked about travel, music, funny anecdotes. She laughed out loud, expressed unpopular opinions without fear, and at one point when the conversation got boring, she herself redirected it with a playful question. For the first time, she wasn't acting, she was being. David was fascinated. He later confessed to her, "It was the best first date of my life. I felt like you weren't trying to get anything from me. You were just there enjoying yourself. And that energy, that lack of pressure, made me want to impress you. It made me want to be the man you'd want to have a second date with." What happened here? Anna's detachment from the outcome, winning David over, made her incredibly attractive. Her indifference to securing him was precisely what activated in him the desire to be secured by her. Because a man, especially one who has had several relationships, is used to feeling the pressure of female expectations. And when he meets a woman who seems to have none, who seems to be complete and happy with or without him, that woman becomes an enigma, an oasis of freedom. And there is nothing a man longs for more than the freedom to choose, not out of pressure, but out of a genuine desire. Detachment from the outcome is the ultimate expression of confidence in yourself and in the universe. It's telling life, "I trust that what is for me will come and will stay. I don't need to force it, I don't need to control it. My only job is to be the most authentic and joyful version of myself, and life will take care of the rest." This energy is what allows you to be truly indifferent in a healthy way. When he doesn't write to you, you don't fall apart, because your happiness did not depend on that message. When he is ambiguous, you don't despair, because your value does not depend on his certainty. You simply observe his behavior and make decisions based on whether his energy aligns with yours, not on the fear of losing an outcome that you were never guaranteed. To start cultivating this detachment, the next time you find yourself thinking too much about the future of a relationship, stop, breathe, and bring your attention back to the only moment that exists, the now. Ask yourself, am I enjoying this process? Am I having fun? If the answer is no, your task is not to try harder to get the result, but to adjust your actions to enjoy the present again. And now that you have learned to free yourself from the pressure of the future, you are ready for the next step, to anchor yourself in the power of your present. In the next point, I will reveal why your indifference to his drama is the most powerful magnet and how focusing on your own universe is what compels him to want to be a part of it. We have established the mindset of detachment. Now let's get to the practice. How does sovereign indifference manifest in daily life? It manifests in a very concrete way. Through your selective indifference to his drama. I want you to understand this deeply. It is not about being indifferent to him as a person, to his genuine feelings, or to his moments of real vulnerability. It is about becoming impermeable, almost allergic to his chaos, his inconsistency, his power games, his negativity, and everything that is not an expression of clear and respectful interest. The emotionally available woman makes the mistake of immersing herself in the man's drama. If he is in a bad mood, she strives to cheer him up. If he is ambiguous, she invests hours of energy trying to decipher him. If he creates a conflict, she gets entangled in the argument. In essence, she allows his emotional state to dictate hers. She becomes a ship adrift, tossed by the waves of his emotional universe, The woman who practices sovereign indifference, on the other hand, is a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not try to calm the storm. It does not chase the ships. It simply remains anchored to its rock, emitting its own light, firm and unshakable. The waves of drama can crash against it, but they do not move it. This is the attitude you must cultivate. When he arrives with his chaotic energy, with his complaints about work, with his indecisions, you do not become his therapist or his emotional punching bag. You listen to him, yes, but from an energetic distance. You do not absorb his negativity. You do not take his bad mood personally. You do not get entangled in his mind games. Your energy tells him, I understand you're in the middle of a storm, but I am here in my lighthouse, in my peace. When you're ready to navigate calmer waters, I'll be here. In the meantime, I am not sinking with you. Imagine the story of Miguel and Sofia. Miguel was a man prone to drama. He often created small conflicts or acted distant to test Sofia's limits and get a reaction that would feed his ego. At first, Sofia always fell into the trap, she would argue, ask for explanations, show him how much his behavior affected her. And this, although exhausting, gave Miguel a sense of control. One day, Sofia decided to change. The next time Miguel tried to provoke an argument over something trivial, she, instead of getting hooked, looked at him calmly and with a light smile said, It seems you have a lot of energy invested in that right now. I prefer to keep my peace. Let's talk when you're calmer. And she simply went to read a book in another room. Miguel's reaction was one of absolute bewilderment. The game was over because one of the players had refused to play. His drama bounced off the wall of Sofia's serenity and was returned to him. For the first time, he felt ridiculous. He realized that his chaos no longer had power over her, and that perception was terrifying and at the same time incredibly attractive. He realized that if he wanted Sofia's attention, he had to offer it from a place of calm and respect, not from the whirlwind of his ego. Sofia's indifference to his drama forced him to self-regulate. This is the secret. Your power does not lie in your ability to manage his drama, but in your ability to protect your own peace. When you stop reacting to his storms, he is left alone with his bad weather and is forced to wonder why he is creating it. Your calm becomes a mirror that reflects his own chaos. And there is nothing that inspires a man to mature more than seeing a woman whose peace is non-negotiable. He begins to admire your strength, your center, your ability not to be dragged down. And that admiration is the basis of lasting respect. So from today, make a pact with yourself. Become the guardian of your peace. When he tries to drag you into unnecessary drama, do not take the bait. Breathe and choose your serenity. You don't have to say it, you just have to do it. Withdraw your attention from the chaos and put it on what nourishes you. Read your book. Listen to your music. Go for a walk. Your indifference to his drama is not an act of rejection towards him. It is a supreme act of love for yourself. To anchor this decision in your being, I want you to go to the comments and write this decree of power, your new personal law. I am indifferent to drama. My peace is not negotiable. By declaring it, you commit to being the lighthouse, not the ship adrift. And now that you know how to protect your peace, you are ready to understand the psychological reaction that this new attitude provokes in him. In the next point, we will unveil the switch of the fear of loss, and you will see exactly how your serene indifference forces him to question if he is losing you. And why? That question is the beginning of his devotion. We have reached the core of why this kind of indifference is so potent. It is not an esoteric mystery. It is pure human psychology. When a woman embodies sovereign indifference, that mix of detachment from the outcome and an unshakable inner peace, it activates in a man's mind one of the most primary and powerful emotional switches that exist, the fear of loss switch. And I want you to understand this very well. It is not a fear that you provoke with threats or ultimatums. It is a fear that is born organically within him as a reaction to your own fullness. It is the visceral recognition that he is in the presence of a treasure that does not belong to him, and that, therefore, he could lose at any moment. Let's analyze what exactly happens in his psyche. A man, by nature, feels comfortable in certainty. When he feels that a woman is secured, that she needs him, that her life revolves around him, that she will always be available, he relaxes too much. His instinct to conquer, to strive, to win her over every day, goes to sleep. He enters a maintenance mode, giving the minimum necessary to maintain the situation, because he perceives no risk, there is no urgency. He believes, on a subconscious level, that he has all the power and all the time in the world. But when you start to operate from sovereign indifference, this castle of certainties collapses. When he sees you genuinely happy without his validation, your detachment from the outcome, when he sees that his drama no longer affects you, your indifference to chaos, when he perceives that your life is rich and exciting on its own, your own universe, his mind starts to make calculations it didn't need to make before. The question in his head changes from, "What can I get from her?" to, "What do I have to do to keep her from leaving?" The switch has been flipped. For the first time, he faces the real, not fabricated possibility of your absence. And not the absence of a needy woman who punishes him with silence, but the absence of a high-value woman who could simply and plainly move on without him. And that possibility is terrifying for his ego. This is where the psychology of loss aversion comes into play. Studies have shown that the pain of losing something is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. As long as he felt you were a sure gain, his motivation was low. But the moment he perceives you as a possible loss, his motivation to retain you skyrockets. He starts to value your calls more, to pay more attention to your words, to put more effort into the plans you make together. Why? Because access to you has ceased to be an abundant commodity and has become a scarce and precious one. And the human mind is programmed to desire and protect what is scarce. This is not a process that he rationalizes. He doesn't sit down and think, "Wow, now that she's indifferent, I should value her more." It is an instinctive emotional reaction. He feels a restlessness, a low-grade anxiety. He begins to observe you with new eyes. The same serenity that he might have previously mistaken for coldness, he now interprets as immense strength. The same independence that he previously found convenient now seems like a threat to his relevance in your life. He realizes that he is not the center of your universe, and that, far from offending him, challenges him. It unconsciously invites him to become the man who is worthy of occupying a more important place in your fascinating galaxy. Your serene indifference does not tell him, "I don't want you." It tells him, "I love myself so much that I will not settle for a half-hearted love." And this message is the most potent aphrodisiac for respect. It forces him out of his passivity. It forces him to demonstrate his interest in more concrete ways. It forces him, in short, to take you seriously because he realizes that if he doesn't, someone else will. Or worse, that you yourself, in your magnificent self-sufficiency, won't even need someone else to. And that is the true checkmate. Now that you understand the powerful mechanism that your new attitude activates in him, you are ready for the final step. In the next point, I will give you a practical and elegant ritual, a guide to cultivating this sovereign indifference in your daily life, so that it stops being a concept and becomes your natural state of being. We have unraveled the theory. We have understood the psychology. But the real power lies in the embodiment, in the daily practice. Sovereign indifference is not a switch that you turn on and off. It is a muscle that you train. That is why this last key is the most important. It is your training plan, a practical ritual for you to cultivate this energy in your day-to-day life until it becomes your natural state of being. This ritual is not about acting indifferent. It is about being indifferent to what does not deserve your energy. These are concrete steps for you to stop being a pendulum that reacts to his movements and to become the clock that marks its own time, its own rhythm, its own kingdom. Step 1. The morning anchor of the centered queen. Every morning, before your mind starts to revolve around him or the day's problems, dedicate 3 minutes to this anchor. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and visualize a sphere of golden light in the center of your chest. This sphere is your peace, your center, your own universe. With each inhalation, imagine that light becoming brighter and stronger. With each exhalation, imagine you are expelling any anxiety, any need for approval, any worry about him. Then repeat this mantra internally. My peace is my power today. No external storm will disturb my inner kingdom. This simple act programs you to start the day from your center, not from lack. It reminds you where your true strength lies. Step 2. The practice of a meditated response instead of an immediate reaction. Throughout the day, whenever he contacts you or something happens that would normally make you react impulsively, apply the sovereign pause we have already talked about, but with an addition. In that pause, instead of just waiting, ask yourself this question. What would be the response of the wisest and most serene version of myself? Not the anxious version, not the wounded one, but your highest self. Would she respond to that passive-aggressive message? Would she get entangled in that unnecessary drama? Would she abandon her peace to calm his anxiety? Most of the time, the answer will be no, or the answer will be a short, calm phrase that sets a boundary. By consulting with your inner queen before acting, you stop being reactive and become intentional. Step 3. The drama diet and the joy banquet. This is the most proactive step. It consists of drastically reducing your consumption of drama and exponentially increasing your consumption of joy. The drama diet means you consciously limit the time and energy you dedicate to conversations that revolve around problems, complaints, or negativity, whether from him or others. If a conversation becomes toxic, you learn to withdraw with elegance. The joy banquet, on the other hand, is your active commitment to filling your life with things that light you up. It is your closed universe in action. Every day, make sure you have at least one activity that is your banquet. Listening to that album you love, dedicating 20 minutes to your hobby, having an inspiring conversation with a friend. When your life is full of joy, your indifference to drama becomes natural because, frankly, you don't have time for nonsense. By practicing this ritual, anchoring, meditated response and drama diet, day after day, you will be building an unbreakable character. Your indifference will stop being something you have to think about and will become who you are. You will transform into that woman who emanates a calm that bewilders, an independence that is admired, and a fullness that attracts. You will be the firm lighthouse on its rock, whose light chases no one but guides the right ships to its harbor. To anchor this ritual as the beginning of your new life, to seal your transformation from reactive to queen, I want you to go to the comments and write this final decree, the declaration of your sovereignty. I do not react, I reign. My energy obeys my peace. Write it not as a wish, but as a truth you choose to embody from this very moment. And so, you have arrived. You have unveiled the true power hidden within a word so often feared and misunderstood. Today you have done more than learn. You have transformed. You now understand that true indifference is not a weapon to inflict pain, but a sacred shield to protect your peace. It is not an act of coldness, but the highest and warmest expression of self-love. You now possess the keys to detachment, freeing you from the anxiety of winning and allowing you to experience the simple, profound pleasure of being. You have become the lighthouse, serene and unshakable. And you now hold the psychological switch that turns a man's casual certainty into a healthy, respectful fear of losing you. This journey has given you the ritual to stop reacting and to start reigning in your own life. The woman who inspires a devotion that borders on reverence is not the one who makes the most noise. She is the one who, in the midst of any chaos, possesses the deepest calm. You are no longer the tempestuous sea. You are the calm, safe harbor he didn't even know he was desperately searching for. As you step into this new power, your journey with us is only just beginning. If this transformation has resonated with you, and you are one of the many souls who watch but have not yet subscribed, I invite you to join our community now. Hit subscribe and the notification bell, because the secrets we unveil next will be even more profound. Press the like button to seal this new state of being into your reality, and to declare your new power to the universe. Go to the comments right now and write this simple, powerful decree based on everything you've learned. I am the lighthouse. Write it, integrate it, and from this moment on, walk through the world as the serene queen you were always destined to be.